cool, and all the trash on the ground in the park was cool. All the cigarette butts fought the needles, and all of the stones fought all the Beatles. Mirror, mirror on the wall, oh come on, that's not me at all. Now who's that?
Genetic modification of crops is a complex bioethical issue. It has many sides and stakeholders. Ronald 2011 reports it is safe and integral part of sustainable intensification for feeding and increasing the population. Vendemo 2009 says the long-term effects of GM crops on mammalian health are unknown and tests were inconclusive. However, Seralini in 2012 in a retracted article argues GM crops, specifically Roundup Ready maize, increases rates of cancer in rats and is therefore potentially unsafe for humans.
Of our mountain soul, and I kept repeating it to myself till I convinced myself it's true.
Genetic modification refers to the alteration of the genetic makeup of an organism so that the modification is transmitted to the organism's offspring. In agriculture, these genetic alterations select and introduce desirable traits foreign to the organism. Examples of the benefits of GM crops are increased yield, increased nutrient value, tolerance to herbicides, tolerance to environmental conditions, reduced susceptibility to pests.
This report focuses on the genetically modified, herbicide-tolerant Roundup Ready canola, in use in some areas of Cooginapp, Western Australia. The canola uses an isolated strain of glyphosate resistance that was transfected to it by the use of 2 gram-negative bacteria, Ochrobacterium and Agrobacterium.
But it's a lucky coincidence.
The benefits of GM canola are that it enables the farmer to use glyphosate products rather than more toxic chemicals without damaging the crop. This reduces environmental and health risks and is supported by broad scientific consensus that it poses no risks when eaten. In Cooginapp, Western Australia, it is alleged that the genetically modified Roundup Ready canola crop of Michael Baxter was blown onto the neighbouring land owned by Stephen Marsh, an organic farmer. This contaminated 70% of Marsh's property, resulting in the loss of his organic certification for 70% of his land.
I'm not feeling alright today. I'm not feeling that great. I'm not catching on fire today.
The technique used by Mr. Baxter is called swathing, where the mature canola plant is cut at the stem and left in the field to dry. It was after this process that wind carried the tops of the canola plant with the GM seed onto Marsh's property. Mr. Baxter claims he followed all regulations, buffer zones and informed neighbours that he was using GM. Mr. Marsh has unsuccessfully attempted to sue Mr. Baxter for loss of income and damages. He claimed Mr. Baxter was guilty of negligence by failing to fulfill his duty to his neighbour and by allowing to let the GM canola escape from his land. Roundup Ready crops pose a threat as a weed, especially canola. Canola seed pods shatter at harvesting, causing an uncontrolled spread of genetically modified material. This material, as seen in the case study, can contaminate neighbouring crops. This has immediate adverse effects on organic farmers, but conventional farmers are also impacted. The genetically modified canola is now a Roundup resistant weed, forcing them to use harsher chemicals. Science is still undecided on the safety of GM crops. Whether they should be used is debatable, but they are. It is therefore paramount to control the spread of genetically modified organisms until it is known for certain that they are safe. The implications of this case are serious. Either way, the judgment will set legal precedent that is used worldwide. It will change farming techniques and question regulatory bodies, and all whilst genetic modification is only in its infancy.
Puts on the forceps. The stonemason does all the work.